And we're back with our guest in Smashy Crypto, Henry ارسلانيان. Did I pronounce it right?
You always pronounce it great. It's fantastic. Henry ارسلانيان. The Armenian names, you know what I mean? It means son of, and Ars means lion. So here we go.
Wow.
Very relevant for crypto.
Amazing. We have the crypto guru with us today, a PwC crypto leader and a partner as well. Welcome to the show and thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
So, first of all, what's happening in the crypto market right now? Can you explain to us in depth? Because like Bitcoin has dipped to 32K. So can you tell us more, please?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think for anybody who doesn't like volatility, crypto is definitely should not be involved. But obviously, there's been a very interesting last couple of weeks. I think there's 2-3 big elements that are into play here. One of them on the retail side, there's been obviously a lot of uncertainty, a lot of volatility, and especially for those that are just entering the crypto space, that is obviously quite challenging. However, at the same time, I think it's very important to understand there's been very important developments going on the institutional side, with some of the large investor financial institutions entering the space. Literally over the last couple of weeks, we had Standard Chartered announce that they're going to launch in the crypto brokerage business. We know we had banks like Morgan Stanley on the private bank side. We had DBS, who just issued their first security token. And also we had, so really when it comes to a lot of the asset management sector, financial institutional sector, there's been quite a lot of activity going on. And of course, on the policy side as well, there's been some developments. Last but not least was even El Salvador, let's say that it's looking at recognizing Bitcoin as legal tender. So a lot of market activity. That being said, yes, there's been a lot of price pressure recently on Bitcoin and broader markets, but I think there's a lot of, we have to look beyond the price and some of these big macro developments that have taken place that are quite interesting and in the longer term have probably a more meaningful impact as well.
Amazing. But what do we tell the people, the small investors who are investing, panicking every time they open their app and they see it in red?
Oh, absolutely. And this is a very important point you mentioned. I'm very happy you raised it because I think it's one thing that's important when you are trading cryptocurrencies. The first thing is education. I tell this to a lot of my students. I teach crypto at university. I write books about crypto. And really the most important thing I tell people is before you put a penny into cryptocurrency, make sure that you spend some time learning about crypto, listening to shows like yours or on my YouTube page, for example. There's a lot of free content that is available because what's important there is actually you may love Bitcoin, you may hate Bitcoin, you may like crypto, you may hate Bitcoin, you may hate crypto. But I think you have this intellectual duty to try to understand what it is and what is the impact it can have on the future of finance. And once you've done that, I think that obviously you should not invest more than you can actually afford to lose. And I think, but if you do these two things, you will get more comfortable, you discover the benefits, and then you can start going more in depth. Please, one thing I say that I mentioned to people, do not buy a coin like a Dogecoin or anything like that because you see somebody, your friend talk about it, or you see somebody on social media or anything. Please make sure you do your homework like you would for anything else. It bothers me that I see people now spend more time on reading the review of a restaurant before buying a sandwich than actually they do on Bitcoin cryptocurrencies. So please, if you had the same level of diligence before you buy a shawarma, please make sure you do it before you buy cryptocurrency.
I love it. I'm gonna make a quote out of this. It's so true though, because now we were talking even before, like the youth conversation has changed. Everyone is talking about crypto now, which is great. But at the same time, don't get the peer pressure that my friends are investing in crypto, so I have to right now, and they're investing in those coins, so I'll do as well. Don't join the flow just for going with the flow. Doing the homework, I think, is super important. But can you give us more tips for early investors, people who have an amount of money and they're considering it like as if it's dead, it's not there? What do they do with it?
Well, first of all, you should never consider any amount of money dead because you never know what could happen with it. But often my advice to first comers who are entering the crypto space is, first of all, after you've done your homework, after you've done education, you put the money you afford to lose. As obviously start with some of the major coins. I'm still amazed that I see people will enter the crypto space and their first currency they bought is a Dogecoin and one of the millions of altcoins out there. I think whether you like it or not, the first entry point, as often I would recommend people to just buy Bitcoin, Ethereum. Some of the coins are been there, established, there's liquidity, there's communities around. And afterwards, you may decide to go into more alternative coins that are out there in the market. But really, as a start, I think that's often the way to go, because also for practical reasons, unfortunately, when you're entering the space like anything new, there's obviously chances of scams, fraud. To this day, unfortunately, every day I have followers reaching out to me where they've been a victim of a certain scam. The most common that I see is a tax scam where you traded a certain, sorry for the term, a shitcoin with a certain exchange. And finally, when you want to redeem your money, they tell you, no, you got to prepay taxes, which obviously fake and fraud. And this is one that I'm seeing a lot. And probably the most dangerous is I'm seeing a lot of individuals, they get approached by these, again, random exchanges where they ask them to download a certain app and give them access to their laptop.
Oh,
remotely.
wow. Again,
please be careful. This is stuff that I'm seeing a lot. There's one thing to lose whatever amount of you can afford to lose. Second is actually when you're getting your account device or whatever compromised by these bad actors. Like any industry, like any other industry, there's a lot of great people building the future of finance, the future of money, and trying to share this knowledge and our passion for the future of money, including yourself, Allah. At the same time, there's unfortunately bad apples like any other industry who are trying to make a quick buck of the situation. And unfortunately, it is what it is, but I don't think we're going to get rid of them anytime soon.
100%. Okay, Henry, can we discuss Elon Musk's tweets and how they're affecting the market? Because everyone is asking about it. Some people are pissed, some people are excited, so...
Yeah. No, of course, Elon Musk. First of all, I've never met Elon Musk. I've never had any interaction with him in person. What I would say from what I see publicly of him, he's somebody I admire as an entrepreneur, as a visionary, and some of the bold ideas that, frankly, I think many of us, including myself, probably wouldn't think even is possible. Now, I think when his reaction that he has on Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies more broadly, I think it's very childish. I think some of the reactions he's made, the comments he's made, frankly, you would never do this in the traditional financial sector space. And I think this is kind of the behavior that actually makes the crypto industry look bad. Ironically, the vast majority of people in the crypto space are actually more sophisticated, more knowledgeable on crypto. But unfortunately, it's kind of gives the industry a bad name. Like any other industry, there's always one or two individuals or personalities that kind of have a certain outsized impact on the perception of that industry, not necessarily in the industry, on the perception of that industry. And unfortunately, I think that's what Elon Musk is doing. What I would love to do if Elon Musk, if I had the chance to be with him, I would actually recommend him or actually encourage him to use his influence, to use his voice, and to use his notoriety to highlight some of the benefits of cryptocurrencies and the impact they can play on the future of money. For example, the role it can play on financial inclusion, the role it can play as a wealth preservation, or even as a hedge against currency devaluation, or some of the events that we even saw, unfortunately, recently, lately in the Middle East and in Lebanon, for example, on wealth preservation, and also, frankly, also on some of the benefits can have on cross-border payments, for example, on that side. So I really wish that could happen. I think Elon Musk is a very smart individual, and I'm really hopeful that one day he will kind of not control himself, which is more difficult, but let's say use his channel and his voice in a more probably impactful and sustainable way that it is, I would say, right now.
But a lot of people are asking, how can one individual affect the prices of a market?
It's actually a very, very good point you raise, Hala, because I think you're right. You may argue if one individual can move markets this much, then what does it say on the institutionalization and the level of quality of the market? I would argue that actually gets a lot of the headline. Elon Musk will get a lot of the headlines, but actually a lot of the underlying activity we are seeing is actually driven by other vectors. You know, whether the price of Bitcoin, yes, there's a lot of retail activity, but also I think there's a lot of other macro elements going on, from quantitative easing going on around the world to central institutional players, to some of even the regulatory policy changes recently in China, for example, where not only there was some enforcement guidance that was given by various trade associations, but also at the FSEC level, which is part of the State Council, kind of the crackdown on Bitcoin mining, which has obviously, I think more impactful impact on the markets, frankly, than many people believe, and also than probably Elon Musk as well.
Exactly. And there are a lot of question marks about like the environment, how will it affect it, and the mining. So can we talk about that? What do you think? What's your take on it, please?
I think we have to acknowledge in the crypto community that Bitcoin is not a green asset. It's not, we're not planting flowers, we're not planting trees here. That being said, I think the Bitcoin network today consumes as much electricity as the country of Ukraine, for example. However, I think we need to be a bit more objective and look at the facts on both sides. For example, yes, we are moving away from many coins and moving away from proof of work to proof of stake, and many other coins actually use other consensus mechanisms that are not as electricity consuming. Second, I think also we have to acknowledge that the opportunity that Bitcoin mining, for example, despite having proof of work, can do, for example, in the development of renewables. Around the world, we often forget that actually Bitcoin miners are buyers of last resort. They're able to turn on and off the machines And also they can be located anywhere in the world, which gives them the big opportunity actually to buy and make some of these renewable projects that we have around the world. Because as you all know, there's a lot of demand for electricity in the morning and at night. And during the day, actually, this is a time where these renewable energy can be actually bought by some of these Bitcoin miners, for example. Second thing also, I think is very important that we acknowledge that we have to compare apples with apples. Yeah. In this case, we have to compare Bitcoin with gold.
Yes.
Many people don't realize that, for example, an average wedding ring, I don't have it myself, but produces about 20 tons of waste. Bitcoin gold mining today, in many regards, produces is 50 times more polluting than Bitcoin mining. Yes, it's obviously the industry is about 10 or 15 times bigger, but I think we have to be acknowledged. I've seen a lot of people now suddenly wake up, think about the environmental impact of Bitcoin mining, but they're very happy to buy gold or have a wedding ring or stuff like that. So I think we have to be acknowledged that. That being said, I think as a crypto community, I'm very happy to see how the crypto community has kind of rallied over the last couple of weeks. Now, a lot of the Bitcoin miners now are trying to become more renewable. They're trying to become more green. There's a number of industry initiatives as well. Today, according to Cambridge University, 72% of Bitcoin miners use some kinds of renewable in their mining. In many parts of the world, including the US, Scandinavia, others, actually, there's vast majorities renewables. Yes, I think we have to correct that in China, especially in the dry season. Yes, there was a lot of hydroelectricity, which is renewable, but also there was a lot of coal mining that was happening, especially in Xinjiang and other parts of China. I think this is one of the things I think with the outflow from China, I think the percentage of renewables being used, I'm pretty convinced will go up as well over the next couple of months.
100%. And I think it's a good point to raise as well. It's raising awareness. So people are taking it into consideration right now. And I've read something about green Bitcoin as well. They're working towards that. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, but it's also difficult. I think we have to acknowledge as well, we should not kid ourselves either, because let's say the reality, the way Bitcoin mining works today, works in pools. So unless you have, and it's a pool, you're as green as the less green of the members of the pool. So I think we have to be honest and acknowledge that, yes, even if that's the case, there's still a lot of work to be done. Again, I commend what's been happening in the crypto community. It's been very great. I think traditionally we used to have a very nonchalant approach in the crypto community, disregarding this this attacks against Bitcoin mining. I'm happy now we're having this debate. We're discussing it. And we're taking proactive steps to amend it, which is a very, very good step forward.
Exactly. So Bitcoin, we were so excited that it will reach 100K, and we were debating like when it's going to hit that 100K, but now it's 32. So when do you think it will hit the 100?
Actually, frankly, I think focusing too much on the price, I think it's more noise. It's great, obviously, for news channels, but I think if you're looking at the maker industry, I look at other elements. For example, I look at the entry of institutional players. I look at the countries with regulatory clarity, because I believe these have a bigger outsized impact on the ecosystem. That being said, I think that there's obviously, we have to look at the price and have price targets as well. I'll give you a very good example. Last week at the PwC, Elwood and AMA released their third annual crypto hedge fund report. And the median of when over 100 crypto hedge funds were asked their price prediction on December 31st, 2021, the median prediction was $100,000 as well. And also, actually, interestingly as well, the predicted market cap of crypto was between $2 to $5 trillion as well. I think, and also depending how you look at it, whether you look at the stock to flow ratios, whether you look at usage ratios, I think there's a lot of merit to think that actually there's still upside for Bitcoin left, as our crypto hedge fund report just highlighted a couple of days ago.
100%. And there are some good numbers that we're reading. Like I went through something and I read 1.7 billion adults in the world are without bank accounts. 1.1 billion of them have phones. So correct. Bitcoin can solve that. What do you think?
I think the financial inclusion issue, which you mentioned, is actually a big problem that we've had for some time. I remember my first TED talk, the TEDx talk that I gave in 2016. I mentioned that how fintech was trying to tackle that. Actually, it is happening. Fintech more broadly has been making more people from being unbanked to being banked. And by the way, this is not a problem in emerging markets. In many developed countries, we have a problem with people unbanked. Cities like Miami or Detroit, up to 20% of households are unbanked today, which is a crazy problem. And obviously, this is obviously something that the fintech more broadly, including cryptocurrencies, can solve. Because you're right, if anybody has a phone, you can have a digital wallet in there, and that obviously can allow you to actually use it in the same way that you use your physical wallet from that perspective. Now, what is maybe the catalyst? I think some of the developments that we have seen, for example, with with El Salvador, for example, making as a legal tender, that actually can make it people actually the way they're presenting it could be as a store of value as there's currency devaluation and inflation, potential hyperinflation. However, where I think this could play a big role is that, especially when we move to central bank digital currencies, where actually we can have digital currency issued by the central bank that allows literally people to hold in their phone central bank money in the same way that they can hold cash money today. And I think that's actually a big deal, because not only government can then send money to the people if they need, like in cases of COVID, for example, if you want to kickstart the economy, we can put interest rates directly on the money. So I think CBDCs, especially when it comes to financial inclusion, as it comes to people who have a smartphone but don't have a bank account, we're really at the early stages. And that's very exciting, not only for crypto, but I think for society and humanity as a whole.
100%. I saw as well, you reminded me a story in the Miami 2021, and it had like fake dollars all over the place, and they're like, see, like this harms the environment, but Bitcoin might, or cryptocurrencies in general might help that. So I love those arguments, to be honest, and I love that we're raising them a lot. So one of the things also I would like to talk about are NFTs. Where do you think NFTs will go in the future? Where are we going to see them?
Oh, absolutely. I think NFTs are a very exciting topic. I think NFTs are here to stay. Whether, again, some people may think it's a hype. It's not a hype. The reality, it's here to stay. I mean, the data speaks for itself. On January 1, 2021, literally at the beginning of the year, there was less than 25,000 people using NFT platforms a week. Last couple of weeks, we're at over 500,000 weekly active users a week on NFT platforms. Of course, a big chunk of this was NBA Top Shots, was some of the activity we've seen from the Beeple news of selling its record piece of art at $69 million, to some of the other, from CryptoPunks to others that have been in the market. The reality is this actually gives a lot of opportunities. I think I'm very optimistic on the potential it gives to artists. For example, the potential it gives on solving problems that we've had for a long time on provenance, on traceability. And by the way, we're thinking about art, about digital collectibles, but this is bigger. Think about land titles. I mean, just across the Middle East, how many countries we have issues with land titles today? We have to pay lawyers and stuff to try to find a land title if you can. Again, this really opens up a whole new world of opportunities on that perspective. So I think there's a net positive. I think we're going to go through cycles again, as we always do. But I think NFTs are here to stay. I'm very optimistic on the potential it brings. Actually, and this is a great example of how crypto will enable the other, hundreds of millions of people entering the digital asset space, and by something as simple as NFT. So very excited about it. Exactly.
But we're hearing a lot of people like the disaster girl meme that was sold and things like that. And even the investors in crypto, has some people are scared of getting rich fast through that. So it's a bit of a risk. So tell us more. What do you tell those people who think like through NFTs or those new concepts?
I'm not sure anybody is worried about becoming too rich fast.
Exactly.
But I'd say that people are worried about that there's a lot of high speculation and hype in the system, and that's absolutely the case. Unlike Bitcoin, for example, we should not forget NFT is what makes a non-fungible token, is that it's a unique token. So for example, today, if I have these two $1 bills, they're fungible. If I give you this one or this one, you don't care as long as they're $1.
Yeah.
Same thing with a Bitcoin. If I give you one Bitcoin or another Bitcoin, you don't care. They're both fungible. With NFTs, each one of them is unique, which of course, when it comes to price discovery and liquidity, obviously brings a lot of challenges. In the same way that if tomorrow morning you want to sell a Picasso painting, there's not that many buyers of Picasso, and obviously how you determine the price, there's not that many transactions. So I think people have to be very careful if you're buying an NFT. In the same way, by the way, if you're buying art, just buy something that you love and you enjoy. For example, I recently bought an NFT from an Armenian artist, being of Armenian background. And it was very interesting. What I found very interesting with that painting, a part of being very beautiful, was actually that whenever I sell that painting, the artist for the lifetime of the painting will have a royalty of 7.5%.
Nice.
Which I found is great. So in a way, I've always had issues personally with these art galleries that control the market, control the price. There's a lot of opacity. And I'm very happy that at least one vertical that we have now for the artists, which is obviously very important, not only for the art world, but also across the Middle East as well. I'm very happy to see that this could be something that could be used. This is why actually I have to say, especially with across the Middle East region, the GCC, I've been hopeful that events like these are in regions where we have high mobile penetration, where we're very knowledgeable. There's a lot of history of art and culture. NFTs can be potentially a good way to get more people into the digital asset bandwagon. So very excited to see how this moves forward over the next couple of months in the region.
Yeah, and even on the long term, I've been hearing a lot from people who are saying like NFT will be the way we're gonna even buy tickets for concerts and things like that in the future.
Why not? If you think about it, why do we have a physical ticket and what can not be an NFT? I'm sure there's a lot of people, let's say if you go to your favorite singer's concert and you would love to have that ticket be tradable, there's a value in that, you know? And imagine if you went to the first concert, I don't know, of your favorite band, that ticket has a certain value to it. So I think this allows it to be not only traceable, authentified, but also tradable. It provides liquidity, which is something I think that's interesting. And frankly, that's why when I was saying we're at the early stage of the whole NFT movement, this is another great example of that.
Yeah, and we would like to also talk before we end our amazing interview today about your YouTube channel, which you give a lot of knowledge there as well, and you have a version of it in Arabic. So can you tell us more about your YouTube channel and why did you choose to have one in Arabic?
Well, of course, great question. I think obviously I've been one of my part of my day jobs where I run the crypto business like WC. I obviously publish books. I'm a professor at university. For example, I've been teaching the first fintech university course in the world in Hong Kong since 2015. So there's obviously education has been very important. I spend a lot of my time on creating educational content because I believe that it's unacceptable that in 2021 we still let the students graduate in high school. People graduate university with no courses on fintech and even more no courses on crypto when this is actually the generation that will be the most impacted from it. And we've seen in our region, we saw what happened in Lebanon. I know that we see these events are happening where I think we have to have an impact. So obviously, if I have a lot of different channels, I have LinkedIn, which is my main channel where I have 500,000 followers, where I have weekly content. I have my show called The Crypto Capsule, which is a 60-second summary of the global crypto trends that people need to know. I'm on Twitter where I post regularly. I have my books. I have my newsletter every Sunday, which is called The Future of Money on LinkedIn as well, where people can subscribe. But YouTube, I would say, for the Middle East region has been for me, I believe, obviously a platform that I quite believe in, but also where I want to make sure we have the content in Arabic. I'm very obviously my family has been I'm Armenian background, but we've been in the Middle East for generations, I have to say, and I really believe that one of the regions that has the most potential today globally on using this technology is the broader Middle East and the broader GCC. And the reasons being, when new technologies like these come, it's a level playing field. And any region or country or city even has a chance to be a leader in the space. And I think this gives tremendous opportunities for many parts of the region who are actually embarking on their completely looking at the future. And this was, for me, was very important to actually have all my content translated in Arabic. So I'm very proud to say, by the way, it's not only in Arabic, it's also in French now. We have it in Chinese and obviously in English. But Arabic for me has become very important. And the commitment that I made for many people in the region, both central banks, regulators, and also the most important, the public, your listeners, is that all of my content moving forward will be available in Arabic. And I think this is very important because the first step for to benefit from the opportunities provided by the future of money and the future of finance is education. And I think that one of the barriers, I really believe that who you are or languages you speak should never be a barrier to who you can become. And this is why I made a commitment that all my content will be in Arabic. And actually, I would love to see actually other content creators, other influencers do the same as well, by the way. You know, I think we have this moral duty to educate as many people as we want. And I think the Middle East region is very important. So thank you very much for Hala for that. I look forward to spending more time with your listeners, with your viewers, and also be in the region more often as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you for being with us, Henry, PwC crypto leader. And seriously, we really enjoyed our interview and we'll definitely, hopefully, have you in the studio with us next time.
No problem. Always a pleasure being back in Dubai, and shukran. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you guys. شكرا لكل الناس اللي تابعتنا. نحن بنشوفكم بالحلقة القادمة من برنامج سماشي كريبتو. نهاركم سعيد.